Season 2 of Reacher is almost at its end, and it's safe to say that this season has been one that's had us guessing a lot of the time, whether it be about the identity of AM, whether members of the 110th unit were dead or alive, and if anybody else was in on the plan with Langston and New Age technology. With only one episode to go, I thought I'd share my theories and predictions on what I think will happen next, and share the exclusive image from the finale. So let's get into it. Here is Reacher Season 2 Episode 8 Theories Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Reacher's plan. The final part of Episode 7 saw Reacher walking into the jaws of New Age technology and being taken hostage by them. In an image that has been shared from the final episode, it looks as though Reacher has some cuts on his face. And with the background looking like the New Age technology facility, he's most likely going to be taking a beating. But I don't think that's a problem. I feel that's all part of Reacher's plan that he's thought out in his head. We know that AM, Langston, and Reacher are all going to be inside the facility, as AM said to the driver of the missiles that he wanted to be taken to the engineer that was able to get the chips to function. So all suspects are going to be under one roof. Although Reacher doesn't know it, that's going to benefit his plan even more. We were never told what plan Reacher had up his sleeve, but what we do know is that he reached out to Senator Lavoie to get his security team. A team which consisted of some former Navy SEALs and some ex-force members to make their way to the facility. That's all we know, but I think there's more to it than that. With Russo being dead and there not being a trustworthy cop in sight of Reacher, I feel he's going to call upon Finlay to come in and bust the operation at New Age, allowing him to be the authoritative representative of the law in that situation. That might be after Reacher has freed himself from the handcuffs with the pin that he had. Or it could be before, but I feel it will most likely be after, once Reacher has seen to a few of Langston's henchmen, Langston himself, and got the revenge that he desires for the killing of the members of the 110th unit. There was a brief mention in the previous episode of Finlay being caught up in the mess due to Reacher dragging him into it, so I think that was a sign and a hint to us that he may be returning in the finale, because he is the only person outside of the 110th who Reacher can trust in that situation, especially following Russo's death. Will Swan be alive? Something that I found particularly interesting in the most recent episode was that Swan wasn't mentioned at all. We saw Dixon and O'Donnell as hostages at New Age, but there was no sign of Swan. This either means that Swan is definitely dead, or we've all been double bluffed and Swan is actually in on the operation and higher up the chain than what we thought. As easy as it would be to say that Swan is dead and that's why he wasn't included, I'm going to predict that we've been double bluffed and Swan is actually in on the plan. Marlowe believed that Swan was a good person, but what if he was playing her all along? Swan's life may have fallen apart after the disbanding of the 110th unit, and he may hold some resentment about that, hence why he was prone to taking the cash that Langston was offering in order for compliance. With Swan's dog being killed, that could have also been done as a cover-up to make Reacher and the rest of them think that he was in a vulnerable position, but I don't think he is. Look how fast Langston got rid of Franz, Orozco, and Sanchez. And also how quickly he notified Reacher that he had Dixon and O'Donnell. If he had Swan, he would have used it to his advantage to get inside of Reacher's head even more. Plus, how would Langston have originally known and been interested in all of the 110th? Most likely through Swan. So I think Swan has not only double-crossed Reacher, but also the rest of the 110th division in order for financial gain. Tying into the main theme that this season has been about, corruption. And Reacher is going to see it where it hurts him the most, within a friend who he once cared about and even saved the life of. Let's also remember as well, the show has made Swan out to be a relatively suspicious guy when some of the confiscated goods went missing after an operation and they were in his car. So the show has heavily hinted to us in the past that there could be something going on with him. What will happen to AM? If you've been watching my breakdowns, you'll know that AM has been the character that I've been the least engaged with throughout the entirety of this season, and I have a feeling that I'm going to be feeling the same with his inclusion in the finale. Even though technically Langston is the main villain of the season, as he's been the facilitator of the missiles and Project Little Wing, whilst also killing off members of the 110th, I feel AM has kind of been a bit of a pointless inclusion, just because we've barely seen him actually do anything. He's been on this quest to get the chips and the missiles together so that he can sell them off to the highest bidder. But the show has waited until the season finale for us to see him actually properly engage with any of the main characters. I think his arc could go in one of two ways in the finale. I feel AM could either get stopped and killed by Reacher, which would be a massive moment because they are both so similar in the fact that they're specially trained killers, but their moral differences put them on the opposite sides of the law. So it would be an epic battle that would take place, but one would imagine that Reacher would win, just judging by the way that the show would most likely play out. Or the other direction that it could go in, and one that I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to, is that they could set up AM to be the main villain of Season 3 of the show. Hence why we've only been drip-fed traits of him throughout Season 2. When Season 2 of Reacher was commissioned and given the green light, they also commissioned a Season 3 along with it, so the showrunners may have had the intentions of making this almost like a double season, and converting AM across both of them. Whilst Project Little Wing would most likely crumble, Reacher could end up needing to go after him to prevent him from causing more damage to the world. We know that he's a wanted fugitive and there's little known about him by the authorities. So I could see a story playing out where Reacher is tasked with needing to find AM and bring him to justice. The darker, more sinister mirrored version of himself. That's an outcome that I prefer, rather than just seeing Reacher take him out quite comfortably in the finale, as it would have all just been a bit pointless of having him in this season. So I've got my eyes open for something good to happen, hopefully. Will anybody else in the 1/10th die? If Swan turns out to be a traitor, then I think it's inevitable that he will die, and he'll die at the hands of Reacher. The person who once saved him and ensured that he had life will be taking it away from him if it's revealed that he's a villain. So that's a given if the theory is correct. But I also think that we could potentially see O'Donnell end up dying at the hands of Langston and the New Age technology folk. There's been a lot of emphasis on the transformation that O'Donnell has made over the years. From being a guy that said that he would never settle down, to then becoming somebody that was a family man, was caring, had compassion, and showed a much softer side. Plus, with Dixon saying to O'Donnell that he had more to lose than everybody else, I think that was a nod to the fact that he could well be losing his life, and him dying will mark the transformation and life journey that he went on. As you can see, there are so many different directions that the season finale of Reacher could go in, but I think with all of the death that has occurred to Reacher in the short time, he's going to be taking himself off on his own again, and ensuring that he doesn't have any attachments. This will be so that he doesn't have to experience the pain, feeling of death and responsibility on his shoulders. That is unless they go with the story of AM being on the run, and Reacher needing to track him down, something that I'd definitely be down for watching. With less than a week to go until the finale airs, bring it on. So, there you have it. Reacher Season 2, Episode 8, Theories Explained. If you want to see more videos on Reacher, then click on the card in the top corner, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. I've been covering it since the first episode, so you'll find them there. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. How do you think Season 2 will end? Leave a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.